If you travel through the industrial hubs of East and Southeast Asia, crossing the border from China into Vietnam feels like a different planet. You leave behind a dense urban sprawl and immediately enter lush, green rural farmlands. On the Chinese side of that border, sourcing means navigating massive industrial parks. These are cities within cities, filled with sterile, multi-story megafactories focused strictly on scale. But driving through the outer ring of Hanoi, manufacturing looks entirely different. Here, products are made outdoors by women weaving bamboo baskets in ancient, specialized craft villages. This sharp geographic contrast is a visible division in manufacturing philosophy. For modern home decor brands, understanding this divide dictates exactly how they source their products. High-volume mass production has obvious benefits. Automated assembly lines excel at speed, offer precise structural tolerances, and can churn out an enormous volume of goods. This chart shows the exact trade-off luxury brands face. As volume and minimum order quantities go up, artisanal uniqueness drops sharply. You lose the tactile warmth, brands sell near identical items, and custom runs become mathematically impossible. This divide between sterile precision and soulful authenticity grew out of the way these two nations navigated the mid-20th century. When Mao Zedong established the People's Republic of China, he viewed the country's traditional agrarian structure as backward. His immediate goal was rapid, aggressive modernization. During the Great Leap Forward, the state actively dismantled family-based cottage industries. Localized artisan guilds were broken up and absorbed into massive, state-run factory collectives. Preserving local handcrafts was no longer a priority. The entire economic engine shifted towards standardized, heavy-scale production. By tearing down the old guild system and centralizing heavy industry, the state built massive foundations. When the global economy opened up decades later, that infrastructure was perfectly positioned to dominate the consumer goods boom. Removing the localized guild structure pushed the country toward a single dominant path: high-volume mass production. Further south, Ho Chi Minh operated under a completely different political philosophy. He recognized the traditional village as the fundamental economic and social unit of Vietnamese society. During decades of war, Vietnam made a strategic decision to intentionally decentralize its manufacturing. Rather than concentrating production in vulnerable urban centers, they spread it out across rural areas to protect it from being targeted. This protective rural strategy had an unintended side effect. It kept the core framework of the artisanal craft village fully intact, allowing distinct craft lineages and generational knowledge to survive. After the war, Vietnam formally recognized these craft villages as essential economic engines. That decision successfully preserved centuries of tacit artisanal knowledge that neighboring countries had lost. This map of the Red River Delta shows the scale of this preserved ecosystem today. We are looking at a dense network of over 1,000 active craft villages, many of which have been operating in the exact same locations for over 800 years. Entire communities specialize in a single craft. In villages like Bat Chong, artisans use ancient techniques and natural glazes to produce high-end ceramics with intricate hand-painted details. A few towns over in Ha Tai, the focus is entirely on luxury lacquerware. Here, women carefully apply and sand down dozens of layers of natural resin by hand over a period of weeks. This is a living guild system. Master artisans use their own homes as workshops, and they rely on neighboring families to handle specialized sub-processes like raw material preparation or polishing. This deeply ingrained community structure creates a final product with an organic uniqueness and a heritage narrative that a mechanized assembly line cannot replicate. These two distinct models serve different market needs. For highly engineered mass-market goods requiring precision tolerances and massive scale, leverage China's industrial infrastructure. But for boutique brands relying on low-volume customization, generational skill, and authentic storytelling, tap into Vietnam's craft village network. Success in home decor relies on matching your specific design strategy to the unique manufacturing heritage of the nation you're working with. If you're ready to create, develop, and manufacture excellent home decor products, we can help. Reach out to Anita directly at Mondoro to get started. For more insights into the mechanics of global sourcing, check out our podcast, Deep Dive by Global Trade Gal. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, sign up for our newsletter, and grab your free lookbook in the links below.